Okay, good evening once again. This is our fifth video so far as communication is concerned. As I've been telling you, there is no need for me to review the previous lesson because you have the videos there. So anytime you want to watch them, you can do that. So we are going straight to what we have for today. Today, this is what we are going to do. So I've written the overview. Today I didn't talk about the objective. I've written the overview, what we expect to do today. So we'll be looking at communication media. So by the time we finish with today's lesson, you should be able to define, when you say communication media or communication medium, what is it? You should be able to define what communication media or communication medium is. Then we'll also be looking at the types of communication media. There we will look at written media or the written method. We will look at the oral media or the oral method. We look at visual, audiovisual. We will also look at non-verbal communication. Then we shall look at print media and electronic media. So that is what we'll be looking at for today. When we come to the written, we'll be looking at what is it, the meaning of written communication, the advantages, the disadvantages, and then we shall also look at examples of written communication. Oral communication, we look at the meaning, we look at the forms of oral communication, we look at the advantages and then the disadvantages. We look at the situation where the written communication is more likely to be preferable to the oral one. So we look at when written communication is more effective than the oral one. Under what situation will it be better to use the written communication instead of the oral communication? So that is for that one. So let's move straight to what we have for today. Communication media. What is communication media? Now, as I told you in our previous lesson, as I stand here, you remember when we were talking about the communication process? We indicate that first you conceive the message. After conceiving the message, you encode the message. After encoding the message, then you select the right communication medium. And I told you what the medium is all about. And I said, as I was teaching you, or as I'm teaching now, I'm using the oral communication. If I assume you are in class, then it is oral face to face. So that is what we are looking at, the means. So when you say communication media, by what means did you relay the information? We relay information, we disseminate information. By what means? Now, by what means am I disseminating this information? By what means? And that is what communication media, if it is the plural is media, then singular is media. So that is that. So we are looking at, so when we say communication media, we are looking at the various means. When we say communication medium, we are looking at a means, the means by which information is sent to the receiver. So that is what it means. So that's why I said, when you say communication media or medium, we are looking at the means through which we can send information. So that is it. Types. Now we have the written media or the written method. We have the oral method. When you go to organization, these are the two main media that the organization uses. Either it is oral or written. But there are other types or other forms of communication media. So apart from the written and then the oral media, which are common, we also have what we call non-verbal communication. You see, When I said non-verbal, if you look at my hand, I said non-verbal communication. My hand, the way I straighten my hand, that is non-verbal. As I'm talking, even my tone, at times it is high, the pitch is high, at times it is low. That is non-verbal communication. The way I am even dressed, that is non-verbal communication. If you had happened to be in class and then I had asked you a question, as you were giving me feedback, you might have seen me nodding my head. That is non-verbal communication. If I do this, that is non-verbal. If I do this, do you understand what that means? That is non-verbal. So we shall look at that one too in this. So non-verbal, visual. You see, one of your projects, you brought the organizational chart. That is visual. Diagrams, that is visual, and other examples. We shall also look at that one. Then audio visual. I hope you have televisions at home. What happens? You see pictures and you hear at the same time. So it is audio. So you can have audio, that is the radio, and you can have audio visual. That is so television is an example of audiovisual equipment. You hear and see at the same time. So we shall look at that one too. So let's start with the written one. What is written communication? What is it? When you say something has been written, what does that mean? It means that it is in documented form. It has been documented. That's why I have underlined the word documented. So written communicate, the written method, the information is in documented form. So as I stand here, I'm using the oral communication. It is not in documented form. Very soon I will show you something that is in documented form. Now let's look at this. Come here. We'll be looking at this thing. You see, this thing is in documented form, so it is written. This one is in documented form, so it is also written. But we shall come here when we get to. We are going to look at this example very soon. So we'll come here. So that is the written communication. Examples of written communication, you know them. Letters. We have business letters. We have reports. If you are a sales manager or whoever you may be, your boss, your superior may ask you to give him or her a report on a situation or an event that might have happened. You may be asked to give sales report for a particular week. So reports are written. Memoranda, that is where we went to look at it. What is it? We look at memoranda. Singular is memorandum. Then you have circular. We know what circular is. We have notices. You are familiar with notices. In school, you have your notice board. You go there to read. What the information there is notice. Then the board. So that board contains notices, news flashes. And we also call it bulletins. So the board can also be called bulletin boards, and that they are all in written form. Then we have house journals. We shall look at it and know what house journals are. Queries. If your boss tells you to do something and you fail to do that, if you go contrary to instruction, you may be queried. They will write a query letter to you. They will ask you to answer why you did not submit the sales report on Thursday at 2 p.m. Then you have to answer. Then a copy will be kept in your file. So whatever answer you give will be kept in your file. And all those things are in written form. Minutes. Probably in your class you have been having meetings and the secretary writes minutes. And minutes are always in written form, and so on and so forth. So all these are examples of written communication. Now let's look at them. Report. I've already explained to you what when you say report. class captain, you might have given class report to your form master. Your form master will give the class report to the assistant head academic, who may forward it to the headmaster. What happened in your class throughout the semester? You may be asked to write a report so that your form master will know the events, how situations were in your class, the difficulty, the problems you encountered. You see, through the report, your form master will know some of your problems and then how best they can help solve those problems. And the headmaster who is in his office, if every class captain gives report to their form master and the form master sends the report to the headmaster, or every department, like the business department, you write report, the science department writes report, home economic department writes report. The report will contain the things that transpired throughout the semester in the various departments, the problems they encountered, problems they have in their department, and so on and so forth. This will enable the head to know everything that pertains to any department. So reports are written. You are asked to write. So that said, reports will give factual information about an event or situation. Then managers are able to monitor. So as I indicated, the headmaster will be able to monitor everything that goes on within the school through reports. So managers are able to monitor activities in every part of the organization when they are giving reports. So that is for reports. Then we have memoranda. What is it? Now come. Look at this one. You see, if you look at this one, Central Region Development Commission, then SEDICOM, then you see their logo here, then you see memorandum. Then get it closer. What are the features? You just look at the features. You see they have written here to, then they have written here from, then they have written here subject, and they have written here date. These are the features of a memorandum. These are the features. That means if you see any memorandum, this is for a particular organization. And where they have written to, a particular manager may want to, it is meant for interdepartmental communication. If, for example, the manager wants to send information to all the departments, to call them for a meeting, then he will write here to all departmental heads. Then from whom? From the general manager. Then subject, that is the title. What is it for? General meeting. So he will write here, or she will write the general meeting. Then the date, and then he starts writing it in brief to them so that he calls them for that meeting. So this is an empty one. So this may be there, is in the booklet. So anytime you want to write, you tear one and then you write. And usually the size is like this. But let's look at this one. This one too is from University Practice Senior High School. And this is their logo. And then if you look at it, is the headmistress. If there is a headmaster, it will be headmaster. Then you have the school's telephone number and so on and so forth. Other things, you have reference and so on and so forth. The date is here. The date should be written, and then they have the heading, just as we have this one here, memorandum. Now look at the two. So two. No, from. This one starts from the headmaster. Then two. They said assistant heads, head of departments, head of accounts, head of maintenance, head of stores, and kitchen. That is the head of kitchen. Then date 18th March 2021. Subject submission of 2021 budget. So the head of the school is writing to all these ones to submit their budget. We have done budget, so you know what budget is. So the head of the assistant heads, academic, domestic, administration, they should give him their budget for 2021. The head of department, business department, science department, or any other department should also give their budget for 2021. Heads of accounts should also give their budget. Head of maintenance should give his or her budget. Head of stores and kitchen, they should also give their budget. Then there's subject, submission of 2021 budget. Now, have you got get closer so that they can see what is here? Now, he said you are to submit to the accounts office budget for 2021 to be included in the school's final budget to be presented to the school's governing board for approval. All budgets must be submitted on or before 26 March 2021. Then signature. Now look at it. You see the difference between this one and letter. This one doesn't have salutation. Dear, did you see any dear something? No. So when you are asked to talk about features of memorandum, you see it has the name of the organization, it has the title here, it has date, it has from, it has to, it has subject, there is a date, and then the content is there. There is no salutation. Did you see yours faithful and those things? No, that one too is not there. So that's the difference between a letter and then a memorandum. This is for interdepartmental communication. So that is for the memoranda. Now, you see, here they wrote memorandum because it is one. So memorandum means two or more. So I said, memorandum, that means of interdepartmental communication. It is written in simple messages, requests, or directives. So if you look at this one, the headmaster was giving directives. He was directing them to do something, to submit, and he told them that it must be submitted on a certain day. And that is a directive. Or it may be a request to do something. So that is what memoranda is all about. Then we have circular. You remember when we were talking about types of organization structure? No, organization chart. We look at the vertical chart, we look at the horizontal chart, and we look at the circular chart. And you know why it is called circular? Circle. Circle. So when you say circular, it's also a letter. And we say circle, look at it. Circular. So it is like this. Now, why do we say it is circular? You see, I can write a letter and it is meant for only one person. Let's say the marketing manager. That is not a circular. I can write a letter and it is for only the production manager. That is not a letter. But there may be a letter that is meant for general concern. General concern. One letter for all departments. So it is like, the idea is that it goes around. That's the reason why it is called circular. It goes round. So let's assume it is only one letter. Then the messenger picks it. The messenger goes to production department. He gives to whoever is concerned. The person will read whatever. After that, he takes it. He moves to another department. He goes to another department. So you see, circular. But usually that is not what happens. Copies will be made, like this one. Now this one is not a letter, so it will not be called circular, but it has that feature. If you look at the subject, you see it is meant for almost all the departments. So if it had been a letter, then it would have been circular, because one thing is for general use. So that's why circular, we said letters containing information of general concern to all sections or departments of the organization. So that is what circulars are. Then I don't need to tell you what notices or bulletins are. I've already told you, you know what they are. I say they are news flashes to workers in an organization. So you go to the notice board and then you read what is there. If you're in an organization, you must be visiting the notice board. It is placed at a vantage place. So you go there, whatever news flash that is put there, you read. So that is what notices are. Then we have house journal. It has different names. Even I remember when we were vacating, the headmaster said they had sent newsletters to your parents. You see, the school called it newsletter. That's a house journal. Or employees' newspapers. But the general name is house journal. What is it? House journal, we said it contains information that is exclusive. That I've underlined the word exclusive. When you say something is exclusive to a particular group or somebody, it means that is for only that person. It is exclusive to them. It is unique to that group. So when you look, house journal will contain information that is exclusive to the workers or members of the organization. Of the organization. That is a particular organization. So the house journal of Unilever Ghana Limited will not be the same as the house journal for Fanmore Ghana Limited. Each of them may have their own house journal. And then what will be the content of the house journal? The performance of the organization may be written there. A worker may write an article and it will be published in the house journal. Somebody can share jokes in the house journal. So I've indicated here that example of things that may be contained in house journal. We have articles written by staff. We have the company's performance. How did we perform this particular year or whatever will be in the house journal. There may be jokes. Then I said, when you are communicating to somebody, you should, for the communication to be effective, there is the need for you to use simple language. We said one of the rules of effective communication is to avoid the use of jargons or technical language. Now, but look at something here. In house journals, you can use jargons. And why? So I've indicated that why can we use jargons? You know, if it is an accounting firm, it means everybody there understands accounting terms or accounting terminologies. So when you use accounting terminologies in that particular firm, they will understand. So you can use jargons in house journal. If it is for lawyers, they all understand their terms. So you can use their jargons in house journal. So you should take note that this particular medium, which is the house journal, you can use jargon. So that is for that one. Now let's go to the advantages of written communication. The advantages. Number one is very simple, straightforward. You can keep it for future reference. So it can be stored for future reference. You have file, you keep copies of the letter the report or whatever, the circular, so that in future you can refer to that particular document. The second point, very simple, is that it is less liable to misinterpretation. We didn't say it is not liable to misinterpretation, but if you compare the written one and the oral one, we say it is less liable to misinterpretation. Why are we saying that? Now, if I write a letter, one letter like this, let's look at this one. If it is a circular, you see, it is the same thing that is moving. Copies, the same copies will be sent. So we assume we all have understanding of the language that was sent. Then the assumption is that all things being equal, we have the same meaning. If you look at this one, look at it. Look at it is going to several departments and it is written. Whoever reads this one will never change. Everybody knows what is here. But if it were oral, you see, as it moves from one point to another, there may be distortions. And there may be, so that one is more likely to be misinterpreted than the written one. So that is the point. The next one is that there is less chance of being distorted. Now, the same explanation I gave, as it is moving, is the same content that is moving. So distortions, we have learned about what is meant by distortion. It might not be distorted. The next one, which is the fourth point, is that mistakes can be corrected before dispatching them. If I write a letter, business letter, before I dispatch, I read through. If there's any mistake, I will correct the mistake before I dispatch the letter. So that is that's another advantage. Then the last one here, which is the big one, that information can be sent to several directions simultaneously at the same time as I stand here. Now, this one, if it were to go to anywhere at the same time, the head doesn't need to move to this place, to that place, to that place. If you are an organization, you have branches all over the country, and there is something that concerns everybody, you just write and then you send to each one of them. Now, in these days, modern world, you have your emails and all those things, then you can send, you can dispatch without you being there. But if it is oral, you might have to be there. You have to go to Kumasi branch, you have to go to that branch, you have to move to that branch, especially where probably you are not supposed to use telephone and you have to meet them face to face. So that is for that one. You can send information to several directions at the same time, simultaneously at the same time. Disadvantages, demerits. These are the merits, then demerits. Number one, it can be misinterpreted. Look at, I have underlined it can. We have learned that it is less liable, but that doesn't mean that it cannot be misinterpreted. So it can be misinterpreted. Number two, immediate reply or immediate feedback is not possible. Now, if you were in class, I ask you a question, I get response from you immediately. If I talk to somebody on phone, I get response from the person immediately. But if you write a letter, business letter, report, if you give circular or what have you, you cannot get immediate reply. You have to wait for some time before you can get the reply. So that is another disadvantage of written communication. The third one is that it is relatively expensive. When you say relative, it means you are making comparison. If you compare written one with the oral one, then nobody should tell you which one is more expensive. So the written one is relatively more expensive. Then the fourth one, it consumes time. Now, you have to sit down and create the idea. You have to write, you read through, You have to make corrections and so on and so on. But if it were to be oral, you just get up and then you tell them whatever you want to tell them. So this one is time consuming. Then it is impersonal. It is impersonal. The concept of impersonal, you understand it. When we are talking about formal organization, we said that one of the characteristics of formal organization is that it is impersonal. It is characterized by impersonal relationship. And that is what Max Weber said. It should be characterized by impersonal relationship. You don't do things in respect of whom you know and so on and so on, your personal relation with others. So that concept of impersonal, you understand it. So when you say the written one is impersonal, now if you have your book and you are reading your management book, do you see me raising my hand, nodding my head, doing all those? If somebody writes a letter to you, do you see the person smiling? Do you see, all those things are not made possible. The non-verbal aspect of communication cannot be shown when you are using written communication. So it is impersonal. It is impersonal. And he said it cannot make use of body movement. Now you see, I said body movement. If you are writing, I cannot do this. So it cannot make use of body movement. Then the next one is that once you dispatch it, it is very difficult for you to alter it. If you write a letter, and then the letter, you put the letter in an envelope, you go to post office and then you post it. Once it goes, it will be very difficult for you to make any changes. One time, I watched a Ghanaian from those long time ago, and a student wrote a letter. He wrote 2 letters. One was for the father, then another one was for the girlfriend. He put the girlfriend's letter in the father's envelope and put the father's letter in the girlfriend's envelope. And then the letter was dispatched. When he realized he had made that mistake, he ran, and then by the time he got there, the post office, the van had taken off and then gone. And if you get to know of what was inside the letter that was meant for the girlfriend, the father was the one that had it, and that the girl was pregnant, and he has written to the father to take money for abortion. So you see, you can imagine. Once it was dispatched, there was no way you can alter it. So that is for the disadvantages. Now, under what situations will written communication be preferable to the oral one? So situations where written communication is likely to be more effective than oral one. Now, when you talk about situation, the key word here is when or where. If you are asked to talk about situations and which something will be better than the other, you say when or where. So that is why I have written here when. So number one, when there is the need for accurate transfer of information, then the written one will be preferred to the oral one. Look at this one. If it had been oral, there may be distortions. As it moves from one person to another, the content will change. So when you want accurate information to be transferred, then the written one will be preferred to. Don't say done. We prefer something to the other one. So that is for that one. The second one is, we have already done that one. When the same information is required by several users. That is one of the advantages. The same information, the one that the memorandum that is there. The same information is required by several users. Then that one it will be preferable to use the written one. Otherwise, you have to be moving from one person to another, or probably unless. But you see, these days, technology has made it possible for you to have conference calls. So you can have conference calls. So these days, there are solutions to some of these problems. So you can be here, have conference call, and then relay information to several people at the same time. But we assume in the absence of such things, conference call, then you have to be moving from one place to another. It will be more difficult than when you use the written one. So that is for that one. The third point is that when there is a need to keep records, the oral one, you cannot keep records. The written one, you can have records. You can keep it for future reference. So that is for that one. The fourth one, very simple, straightforward, is that when there is time available for feedback. Remember, the oral communication, you can get immediate feedback. So one way or one situation that the oral communication will be preferred to the written one is when you want immediate feedback. But the written one, you will not get immediate feedback. So under what circumstance can you use it? When you have time to wait for feedback or reply, then you can use it. The last one here is that when there is the need to conform to legal requirements. The law says this particular thing must be written. For example, the law says that all minutes must be written before they can be enforceable. Minutes can never be oral. So minutes must always be written. That is what the law says. That is what the law says. So if the law requires that a particular information should be in a written form, there is nothing you can do than to make it in written form. So that is for the written. Now let's move. Once we have understood the written, then let's look at the orals, and then that one we are going to move very fast. What is it when you say oral? Very simple. There is a direct talk. It can be face to face. It can be on phone conversation. So that is that. Either it is face to face or telephone conversation. The forms of the oral method or the oral communication. Number one, you have what you call DEBA. What is DEBA? Now you know DEBA in your village. If the chief has been meeting people, large number of people, that is it. In organization too, they have what they call DEBA. The management will meet large number of workers, and then they will discuss issues of great concern. So that is DEBA. So DEBA is a forum where large number of workers meet to hold discussion with management on matters of great concern. So that is that. And DEBA is always oral. Now we have seminars or workshops. When there is problem, they can organize a workshop. They can select a certain group of people to go and meet. Then they think through the problem to provide solution to the problem. So you can workshops and seminars. It takes the form of oral communication. So I said selected workers collectively come together to find solution to impending problem. Or at times you attend workshops or seminars and it is for training. So some workers are selected to be trained through workshops and seminars. Then another form that oral communication takes is in-service training. In-service. You are in service. I'm a teacher. I'm in service. I went to school to be trained as a teacher. That's why I was not in service. I was not teaching. So whilst I'm working, I'm in service. And any kind of thing that is given to me. You see your teachers every Wednesday, they break at 1:45. They go for what we call PLC. Yeah, that is in-service training. You are in service. And several other in-service training take place in several organizations. So whilst you are working, some form of training are given to you. so that you can improve upon your skills, you can improve upon your knowledge, and so on and so forth. So during in-service training, oral communication is used. Counseling. When you go to the school counselor, is it written? No. It's oral, face to face. So whether it is group counseling or individual, it is still face to face. So that is counseling. Interview. We don't interview people in written form. It takes the oral form. So that is for that one. Then conversation. We can talk about telephone calls. All these are in